Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before, this is GABNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Ladies and gentlemen, the history of talk radio. Political opinions have been a staple of radio since the early 1920s. Talk radio as a listener participation format has existed since at least the mid-1940s. WMCA New York's Barry Gray was bored with playing music and put a telephone receiver up to his microphone to talk with band leader Woody Herman. This was soon followed by listener call-ins. In 1948, disc jockey Alan Courtney began a call-in program on WGBS Miami. The Alan Courtney Open Phone Forum was a conservative and anti-communist political forum with coverage area over the southeast United States and Cuba. In the 50s, Joe Pine, John Neville, and Gene Shepard were among the first to explore the medium. In recent years, talk radio has gained popularity with many new formats flourishing, including all sports in 1986 with the birth of WFAN New York. The subject matter for these formats are different, but the structure has remained the same for all these years. You might say, talk radio is a 20th century format. Until now, that is. It's 2014. And radio pioneer and innovator Alex Bennett introduces the Citizen Panel on GABNet, the first revolutionary idea in the format since its inception. The Citizen Panel allows for an open discussion to take place between the host and many listeners all at the same time. Listeners claim that it's addictive, producing stimulating discussions on any topic from politics to movies and entertainment. It's not liberal or conservative. It's open to all opinions and ideas. Log on to gabnet.net to listen and find out how you can participate. Listen to the programs on GABNet and take a step into 21st century talk radio. You love GABNet. You love the hosts and the citizen panels. In fact, you wish you could take them wherever you go. On your computer, log on to gabnet.net, where our stream is available around the clock. On your TV, GABNet is available on Roku with the same around-the-clock stream, plus all the latest episodes of GABNet programs, old favorites, videos, and tons of celebrity interviews. When you're mobile, we're on your iPhone or iPad, with podcasts accessible via iTunes or Stitcher, and that same around-the-clock stream on TuneIn. If you don't want GABNet wherever you go, well, the hell with you. Go ahead, listen to your old-fashioned talk shows that do things in the same old predictable way. Meanwhile, the rest of us will be having fun listening to talk like you've never heard it before on GABNet. Reasons why you tune into GABNet. Reason number 29, the Citizen Panel.
I'm saying that he could actually, a good lawyer might be able to make a case that he cannot get a fair trial anywhere in the United States because the President of the United States said, quote, he should be executed. And if you can't find a fair jury anywhere in this country because they've all been exposed to this.
No, he'll never go to trial if he's treated as an enemy combatant.
He's not being treated as an enemy combatant, Phil.
He's basically a citizen. He has a green card. He has all the rights that a citizen of the United States has because he has a green card. Either you want to follow the Constitution of the United States or not. Go to Russia if you don't want to follow the rules.
He said that he did this for ISIS. He had a note in his thing. He had phone calls on his cell phone, and he says that he did it for ISIS. Therefore,
okay, so Phil, if you did that, you should be able to be treated as enemy combatant.
I think so.
GABNet. Reasons to listen every day. Log on to gabnet.net for more. GABNet. It's talk like you've never heard it before. Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before. This is GABNet, the Great American Broadcast Network.
Hey, hey everybody, it's Alex Bennett and it is the Ramble, and we go on from now until midnight tonight Eastern Daylight Time, and we will get to our citizen panel in about, 50 minutes from right now. Yes, 50 minutes from right now. As you know, for the last 3 weeks, we have been playing a rather long interview that we did with Jack Garfein. So you know who Jack Garfein is. Jack Garfein was a very famous Broadway director, motion picture director, teacher at the Actors Studio, has had an illustrious career, which I hope we will get to on some future date, because it involves him discovering James Dean, for example, being the last person to see James Dean alive. All right? So, but that is not the story he's here to tell now. It's how his life started off. And as we found out in the first two episodes of this interview, it was one in which he was evading the Nazis and trying to keep from going to concentration camps, and his mother and keeping him out and helping him out and so on. And when we last left off, the train pulls up and he can see a sign outside that says Auschwitz. Now, this next episode, if you've never heard any of the other episodes, is something you absolutely must hear. It's a must hear, and we're going to put it up after the show's over. It's going to be posted just like any of our other shows, and then in a few days, I'm going to post the whole hour and 50-minute interview so that you can pass it on to friends and tell them where they can find it and watch it, because it's an important story and it's an important tale to tell with a man I love very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, here now the continuation and the finale, 50 minutes worth, with Jack Garfein. So we return to Jack Garfein, and a phenomenal story. I got to tell you something, Jack, before we go further. You know, when I was younger, when I was younger, my father-in-law and my mother-in-law were both Jews escaping and telling stories, phenomenal stories of heroism and everything around a Passover table, and they were Bundists, and but you know, we'd hear about people who did this and fought in the underground and in Paris and so on. And my wife said to me, "Why don't you record these people?" Because I had a videotape recorder, and I never got around to it. And then they all passed. And to this day, I felt kind of guilty that I didn't interview somebody on this. And now I've got you to help me assuage my guilt.
Oh, well, great, Alex.
Yeah. But, you know, now this is a heck of a place to pick up the story. But you were getting off the cattle car, and there's Auschwitz.
Yeah.
You're there. Auschwitz is probably the most iconic, I guess, of the concentration camps. You were in 11 of them total through this whole story.
The worst is the last one I was in, Bergen-Belsen.
Bergen-Belsen.
Yeah. And also people who had been in Auschwitz for a long time felt that Bergen-Belsen was the worst. I wasn't there, you know. I mean, I was in Auschwitz for about a couple of weeks or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But the ones that were there for a long time in Belsen felt Belsen. That was the worst.
Now, Auschwitz, you get off the cattle car.
I didn't know it was Auschwitz. I just knew we were getting off.
And you got off. And what is your first memory of getting out of that cattle car? I mean,
the shouts of the capos saying, and also seeing the SS men with dogs, with what do you call it, the wolf dogs?
German shepherds.
German shepherds standing in the back, and the capos yelling, just yelling, everybody over 46 and under 16 over to the side. Only people between 16 and 46 stay there, right? Everybody else to the side.
And you're how old at this time?
I'm 12.
12.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm, 13, excuse
13.
me. I was bar mitzvah, 13. And what happened was the capos are yelling like that. And everybody was trying to do whatever they were yelling, but my mother, again, grabbed one of the Jewish couples and said, "You're a Jew, tell me what's going on here." And he ran away, because if the Nazis noticed that he was talking or telling them what's happening, they'd kill him. You know, they'd take him back of the train and shoot him. So then she grabbed another guy and said, "You're a Jew, tell me what's going on here." The guy said, "Leave the children, leave the old people." And he ran away. I'll never forget my mother's look. I'll never forget. What? She was trying to grasp something like that. And then she went and grabbed another guy. "You're a Jew, tell me what's happening, what's going on. Leave the children, leave the old people." And he ran away. And unlike other people who didn't do that or didn't believe or anything, my mother takes me and says to me, "Get over there with the men." You know, the ones between 46 and 60. And I again felt, she was protecting my sister, because I always felt she was a favorite. And I thought, what harm is there for kids? They're not going to do anything to a kid, okay?
Right.
So I said, "No, Mama, I'm not going. I want to stay with you. I'm staying with you." And she then went and pushed me away and said, "I hate you. I never wanted to have you. You were born, but I didn't want to have you as a child. I always disliked you, and I don't want to see you anymore. Get away from me and don't ever come back here." And pushed me to the men's side. And I looked back at her, and I remember my exact thought. I hope she drops dead. Or if not, I'll die, and that'll make her really feel badly. And then, amazing thing, we stand on line with the men. I stand on line with the men. And again, unlike the Hollywood movies, you know, Mengele, the doctor.
Mengele?
Yeah. He looked at me.
Wait a minute. You're in a line.
Yeah.
And I guess Mengele is checking out each of the men?
Yeah. And I come up to him, and he looks at me kindly. And he looks, and he says, he touches my face like this.
Yeah.
Touches me. Right?
Yeah.
Like this. "How old are you?" Out of the blue. I don't know where it came from. I said 16. Right? He looked at me like, "Is that so?" When a man behind me, with a stubble of a beard, said, "Your Excellency, he and I, this kid and I, are famous mosaic artists all over Europe." I didn't know what a mosaic artist even was. And Mengele went, just looked at my eye like that, patted me, and sent me to
How did you know this was Mengele? Did he identify himself?
I didn't know. I just knew he was a doctor. I found out later that was Mengele. I just knew it was a guy who just looked at you to decide something. I didn't know what was going on about gas chambers. So anyway,
did you find this out in later years, or did you find this out?
I found it out at the end of the war. Already during the war.
And then you've seen pictures of Mengele since, and that was the man.
What?
You've seen pictures of Mengele since.
Yeah.
And that's the man that you saw.
Yeah. And so what happened was, he pointed me and the guy to the left. And I turned to the guy and I said, what did you say? What is this? Because I never knew what a mosaic artist was. You know? And he knew it was the problem, so he ran right into camp. Do you know what I did? I turned around. I went back to tell that nice Nazi officer that I lied. I wasn't 16. I was only 13 years old. When a Jewish couple walked over, I said, "Where are you going? Where are you going?" "Oh, I'm sorry. I lied to that German officer and told him I was 16. I'm not 16, I'm 13. He took a stick, hit me over the head, get the hell in there, pushed me into the camp, right?
Okay, couple of things here. Number one, your mother saved your life.
About what?
Your mother saved your life by
Well,
doing it in the most horrible way she could.
Coming up on April 15th.
Yeah.
So my kids on April 15th always send me a happy birthday.
Really?
Yeah.
But she literally alienated you to get you to go somewhere else and save your life. Yeah. Knowing that she could do nothing about herself, knowing that she could do nothing about your sister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what happened was my cousin, who was 18, a woman, she was my mother's sister's daughter. So she she told me the story when I met her after the war. She said, I went over to your mother. I said, listen, my mother will take care of Hadi, which is my sister. And you go with me because I'm alone. And my mother, she said, was about to do that when your sister pulled her hand and said, don't leave me, Mommy. And she looked at me, my cousin said, I can't go, I'm not going. I'm staying.
Yeah. So, and then the second person to save your life was this capo, who said, don't go back to that guy, and tell him that.
Yeah, yeah. Right. But now, the Orthodox Jews have a story in the Oxford story of the Holocaust. They heard the story. They never talked to me. But the reporter got in touch with me. He said, did you read the story? I said, no. This is the story. The story according to Orthodox Jews is that this little boy, Jacob, was online in Auschwitz. And Elijah answers the prayers of a mother. Mm-hmm. And he arrived with a stubble of a beard. And he has a stubble of a beard. And he answers the prayers, and so he saved this little boy. Okay? Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, fine. Leave it to the Orthodox to find a miracle.
To find a miracle.
I got to do with that. Now, it's true, I never saw that guy again. Yeah. I tried to see him, I tried to find him, I never found him again. And now, okay, so wait, how many years later? 30 years later, my second marriage, 40 years. What happened is we have a Passover Seder, okay? And I lived in Madrid, I lived in Paris, and my ex-wife lived in Madrid. And I had to bring all the stuff from Paris. They still didn't have those things, so I brought matzahs, wine, everything. We set up a Seder. And my ex-wife says, oh my God, Jack, I have no candlesticks. And then she went and looked and she found 2 plastic candlesticks. And she lit them, okay? And we had the Passover Seder. My daughter was, I think maybe, a year old or something. Mm-hmm. But she was already asleep in the bed. At 4 o'clock in the morning, Anna wakes me up. Jack, look at the ceiling. I look at the ceiling, is black. We run into my daughter's room, black under the nose, but she's breathing. And we run into the room. What happened? The plastic candlestick melted, and the tablecloth caught fire. And guess what? Stopped at the cup of Elijah.
Modern day miracle.
So we said, if we ever have a boy, his name is going to be Elijah. And so my second boy, his name is Elias. He's named after him.
Let's get back to Auschwitz. You were there for 2 weeks.
What?
You were at Auschwitz for 2 weeks, you said?
Yeah.
And
well, the second day was amazing. I thought my father was dead.
Yeah.
And I'm little, so I'm in the front row. And the guy who counts the people and reports back how many there are comes down the line counting, And as he moves down the line, I recognize it's my father.
Wow.
He stops in front of me. You know what he said?
What did he say?
What are you doing here? Because he was a Zionist leader. He worked for the underground.
Yeah.
He sent the Polish Jews to Palestine, took all sorts of risks. And the reward was that if you were in the underground
Yeah.
and you did that,
Mm-hmm.
your kids would be sent to Palestine
Wow.
to be safe. What happened was that was arranged when the Hungarian Jews found out about it. Two kids, rich Jews, bet money. Two kids went out under my name and my sister's name to Palestine. Okay, so when I said to him, and he said, "Is your mother and your sister?" I said, "Yes, they went to the old age home, because that's what we were told.
Mm-hmm.
There was an old age home, and they go to an old age home." And I noticed tears appearing in my father's eyes when the assessment yelled, "What is going on there?" Because he saw him stopping, you know. And so he went on counting. And then the barracks at night, he took a big risk because you're not allowed to go into. Otherwise, came to see me. And he said he wanted to know about the rest of them. I said, yeah, they all went to the old age home. So he said that he was going to find a way to join me in the transport, to go with me. Now, if you did that illegally, and if they found out it was father and son, you were killed. Okay? I knew that, I knew. And I said, no, you're not going. But I didn't think of that. I said, no, you got to stay here because mother and my sister are here. You got to stay here with them and watch them. I'll be fine. I'll take care of myself, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then he came back once more the night before we were leaving, before I was going to be taken to a labor camp, you know.
Yeah.
He came that night, and he said to me, now, one thing, Yankush, never cry. No matter what they do to you, don't ever cry. So it went to my head, and I never, no matter what, they beat me, they hit me, so I was fine. Because if you cried and they felt, oh, there's nothing, you know. They'd hit you more. And so I was put into a cattle car.
And that was the last you saw, your father or your mother,
Yeah.
or your sister.
And then my best friend, Oscar, escaped. I mean, what happened was he arrived in Auschwitz, and after the end of the war, he found out that I was alive. So he came to see me because he ran into my father. And my father said to him, if you ever see Yankush, tell him I haven't had a day of rest since he left.
Yankish was your name. And that was it.
That was it.
That was it. And so where were you off to then?
Well, they sent me to a labor camp. And so I had to go out early at 6 o'clock in the morning to work on railroads, building railroads.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And then I was transferred from there to another camp, all in the same vicinity, called Merzbachtal. And there they again went out to labor camps. And the commandant decided of the camp to have a doorman be somebody, a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So he picked me, and I was to open the door of the camp and greet. And I had a booth,
Mm-hmm.
you know, a little booth where I stayed in case it rained.
Yeah.
And there was a Wehrmacht, not the SS, some of the soldiers. And this Wehrmacht guy insisted that I learn math because he says the war is going to be over. You're going to You're not going to be able to go to school. And he didn't believe anything that I told him, that I said about people being killed. He said, the German people would never do that. Don't be silly. Don't listen to that. And he insisted that I work on math. And he would check me. Every time I came to the gate, he was in charge. 7 times 7, 6 times 6, you know. And again, you have an individual
taking the initiative. You told me a story once about the fact that you were on some kind of a death march.
Did what?
Kind of on you were on a death march?
Yeah.
Where was that exactly? Do you remember?
That was from that camp.
From that camp. And that you were at the brink of falling down. Can you tell that story about what happened? Because everybody thinks of Nazis as all being terrible.
Yeah.
You know, and this is a wonderful story.
I told my son when he was 11 or 12 years old. And when he went to school and they found out that his father was in a camp, and they asked him, what did he tell you? He told this story because I wanted him to know. Human beings.
Okay, well, tell the story to my audience.
So the story was that the death march, it was winter. You know, he had some clothes and wooden shoes, but, you know, and so there was a motorbike outfit who kept constantly running back and forth. And they saw anybody wiggling or shaking or not being able to make it, they killed him. You had to be able to go to march. And this soldier came with his gun, put it under my arm, and carried me. And when he saw the motorbike guys coming, he said to me, now listen, I have to leave now, but you stand straight and walk like you're very strong, and I'll come back. But don't wiggle, don't move, don't, you know. And so the motorbike guys went by, I was fine. He came back, put his gun under my arm, and he carried me again, which is why.
So this almost goes again. You think of every Nazi as being heartless.
Yeah. No, but that's why, for example, I did the Kafka thing because that's what the guy said. I hate humanity, but not individual.
As individuals, humans can do extraordinary things.
Of course. And even now, what is ridiculous is this terrible thing, you know, saying never again. Another lie. What the fuck do you mean, never again? What's happening to the Rohingya? What's happening to people in Syria? What are you talking about? And so you're going to believe never again? No. What you have to believe is keep your eyes open and see that humanity is horrible and that only individuals are great, so that you know that they're capable of doing terrible things, and not never again, because that won't ever happen.
You told me another story.
Yeah.
And this one was, I don't know, you were getting off at some camp. I don't know which one it was, you probably know. And they were starting to shoot at people as you got off the cattle car.
That was the last camp.
You know, and that was Bergen-Belsen, I guess. And in this particular case, again, you managed to avoid dying in the camps.
I was just doing what I...
Well, recount that story a little bit for us.
We were packed into a cattle car, and we were given a ration, some bread and all that. And the guy behind me, a Jew, was trying to get my ration and was trying to kill me. He was trying to choke me. And so I went, bit his thigh, and screamed. And then he knew to leave me alone, okay? And then we arrive in Belsen, the doors open, they tell us to get out, and machine guns are going. And I got flat on the ground, because I felt if you shoot, you have to be flat. And I crawled to a truck, okay, which was parked. I felt, I get on this truck. I climbed up on the truck. Imagine, I was then 14, and you know, not in the pretty hungry, and
Yeah.
and climbed up on the truck because people were lying down there, only to realize they were all dead. And then the truck starts off.
You're in a truck full of dead people.
On top of the truck. And they're all dead. They loaded them up. They shot them, and then they loaded them up there. And I thought they were just lying down like I was.
Yeah.
And I'm on top of them.
You're on top of the bodies. Oh, my God.
And now the truck arrives at a huge fire pit where obviously they're going to throw the bodies into the fire pit. I guess what I did.
What?
I guess I jump off the truck. I open the door to the driver's side and I say, let's go, we got to unload these bodies.
Wow, you really, you're a survivor, Jack.
I mean, well, you know, Harold Clurman asked me,
yeah,
Jack, I just want to know one thing. How do you survive a concentration camp? I said, I cannot tell you how you survive, but I can tell you how you don't survive. He said, how is that? If you feel sorry for yourself.
Wow.
Then you don't make it.
This is a question that's been, when I was knowing that I was going to interview you, which I always kind of, sometimes I don't like to interview people I know really well because it's very difficult in a lot of ways. But there was one question, and it was a burning question that I have because of my involvement with comedy and so on. Was there anything in your life in the camps where people laughed about something?
Oh, sure.
I mean, there was humor, wasn't there?
Not just humor, but dancing and singing. For example, I learned a song, a Hasidic song from the Hungarian Jews, which to this day, I sing it, and it goes like this. Oi, ihr Rebel, ich steh in Zitter, in mein Herzl brennt a fire. Jach, wel seine Chusedl a gitter, a Chusedl a getrier. Oh, Rabbi, in my heart burns a fire. I just want to tell you, I'm going to be loyal and true to you in the religion, you know. And
so in other words, in the concentration camps, which we think of as the most dour of circumstances,
yeah.
All right, there was dancing, there was singing, there was laughing.
Yeah.
Because it just nobody ever asked that question, and it's never portrayed.
Yeah.
You
well,
know?
there's also the guy that heard that he's an Italian composer.
Yeah.
And he's devoted to try to find out the songs from the camps.
Mm-hmm.
And he converted to Judaism after he heard a lot of the songs. Someone said to him, there's this guy, he was a kid and he remembers a song that one of the kids wrote in the camps. The guy came to Paris. When he heard the song, next time he brought a crew and they filmed me singing the song. And it's now on a DVD in Italy, but now everywhere else they're selling it. So the song there, now this was a fascinating story.
Yeah.
So the Germans, what happened was the civilians, we walked through the towns to go to work. So the German people were very upset. They saw kids going to work with shovels and picks. And their own kids wanted to have answers. So they complained about that to the command. And so they decided they had to find a way to get rid of the kids.
Mm-hmm.
So guess what?
What?
They announced, because we knew what was going on at that point.
Mm-hmm.
There was no kidding around about, you know. So they said that the British decided to exchange German prisoners for Jewish kids in the camps. And we had to, if you wanted to, you volunteered for it. Most of the kids volunteered from all the camps around.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all in my camp in Merzbachtal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I, too, felt. I joined them, you know. And now they gave us wonderful food, dressed us in nice, good clothes, because, you know, the British should see it. So we believed absolutely that it's going to happen. But then, the day that we were lined up in the square, what happened was soldiers showed up with guns, surrounded us. We thought, well, maybe they have to march us through the town, and they want to, you know. But then an ambulance showed up with 3 sick people. Now we knew, whoa, we were 612 kids. And we knew ambulance, sick people are going to be exchanged with it. And so the Germans, if 612 had to go, it couldn't be 613 or 611. So they decided to exchange 3 kids for the 3 sick people. And I was with my cousin in the group, but I was also, that's the camp where I was the doorman, you know. So now the kids knew they were selecting 3 to take out. They all raised their hands, yelling, me, me. I thought, well, all right, go back to Auschwitz, I'll see my dad again. I mean, that was my thought. But then they picked out 2. At the last minute, I raised my hand, and they noticed me. And they said, okay, picked me out. My cousin, the rest, one of the last transports taken to Auschwitz.
Yeah. Wow. These are some amazing stories, Jack.
Yeah.
You know, you survived a lot.
Yeah, but it's getting tough now.
How's it getting tough?
What?
How's it getting tough?
It's I managed somehow up to now to suppress the reality, like even on Passover, I was thinking about the Egyptians and the Jews were liberated, and happy Passover, as I see. This year it was impossible.
You didn't have a Passover
Yes.
that year.
My son had a Passover Seder, the whole family and kids there. I said to Natalia, I don't think I want to go this. She said, no, come on, you gotta go. I went.
Let me ask you this, though.
I broke down.
Years have passed. You've gone on, as maybe in another interview, if we get to do another one with you, if you'll grace us with another interview at some time. If you grace us with another interview at some time, we can get into your history as a director, as a writer, as an artist, and all the famous people that you mentored and so on. And that's an important, very important part of your life. But this part of your life happened before that, and then you had this other period. And now as you get older, it's bothering you more than it bothered you, say, when you were in your 30s or when you were in your 40s or 50s. Why is that?
Well, 2 things. First, the conditioning when you're a kid.
Yeah.
You don't try to understand what's happening and why it's happening. You accept this is what it's supposed to be. It's life.
Yeah.
And also, you have no ability to understand it. You only know this is what I'm supposed to do. You can't grasp. You haven't got the words or the ways to explain. That's why when you're a kid, you cry mama or papa or whatever, but you don't grasp the things. And so, in a sense, that's what made me pull through in a way that I completely, for example, I had trouble with my marriages too, because there was no way I could believe in love.
You had trouble, you told me, with your mother from the fact that she said, I never loved you, I never wanted you, and you went through your entire life believing she did.
Not my entire life, up to a certain
point, but that was more recently
No.
When did you suddenly realize that she in fact had saved your life and didn't hate you?
After my divorce from my first wife, I went to an analyst. Okay, first time I went to an analyst, and I need one now. and what happened was that after I went for 5 days a week for 2 years. And at the end, I was going back to New York.
Mm-hmm.
And he said to me, "So, Mr. Garfine, what have you gotten out of this analysis?" I said, "Well, what I've gotten, the war is over. You know, people are all kind. You can have a life. I have 2 kids." He said, "Yeah, but Mr. Garfine, what about love and woman? I mean, after all, you came here because your marriage broke up. So, what have you learned?" I said, "Well, let me think about it." So, 2 weeks later, I said, "Well, I know you want me to articulate it, but I can't. You have to help me." So he said, "Well, one thing, Mr. Garfine, you were 13 years old. Your sister was 10. You couldn't save her. You were not responsible. You couldn't save her. Stop being attracted to women you want to save." Flabbergasted. Because my first wife was married to a gangster, you know, and she was a chorus.
Your first wife was the actress Carol Baker.
Yeah. And she was first in a chorus line, and you know, and then she married this guy who was a gangster. She was 19, he was in his 60s. You know, so.
And so you felt you were saving her.
And I did save her.
But you're coming to terms with your mother.
So wait. So then he said, and what happened, Jack? He said, what about your mother? He said, what happened was that I said, I mean, to be very clear about this. Yeah. So about 4 years ago, mm-hmm. the Film Forum gave me a tribute here mm-hmm. for my film work. Mm-hmm. And in the audience was a friend of mine, Jack, who became a famous analyst in New York. And I only met him before that, a few years before. But he went through the camps, right? Mm-hmm. And he came to the theater. And I told the story I just told you.
Yeah.
And people asked me about Auschwitz, what happened, and I told about the analyst. And I said, during the break in the film, between 2 films, Jack came over to me and said, well, that analyst was on the right track, Jack, but he didn't get it right. I said, what are you talking about? It wasn't your sister, Jack. It was your mother.
It's okay, Jack, if you don't want to talk about it.
It's because you couldn't save her. Not the sister.
And that must have been the reason, because look at what you're doing now. You know, look at how you're reacting to it. Let's get.
And look, even when I talk about it like that, I realize that's what it was.
Wow.
And that's when I realized fully, although I had good friends like Sean O'Casey, the playwright, great playwright, I was doing Shadow of a Gunman on Broadway, without ever talking to him about my life or anything. He sensed in me that it had something to do with my mother, but it was never this definite like what Jack did.
But now you say that you are more kind of depressed than you have been. You're more depressed than you have been about those days in the camps. And it's kind of interesting that there was this period of your life where, hey, you had life and you did it, and now it's at towards the end of your life. God willing, you'll live to be 1,000, but as you've gotten older, you're 87 now, all of a sudden, you're like, these things really bother you.
Yeah.
Let me.
It's not bother. It's you see the reality.
Yeah. Let me.
You refuse to see before.
Let's finish this thing off by a remembrance of the day you got liberated.
What?
The day you were liberated.
Yeah.
The day the camps got liberated.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
It's coming up now.
It's coming up?
April 15th.
April 15th is Liberation Day. Yeah. Or the day, or somebody said your birthday.
My kids.
Liberation Day. It's also tax day too. But what do you remember about that day of liberation? What do you remember about that day of liberation? Did you believe it when it was happening, or did you?
It was like 3 days before that we knew the British were coming close, and I knew I only had 3 days to live. I somehow knew I had enough energy to last 3 days, and after that I wouldn't have enough energy.
You were that weak.
What?
You were that weak.
Yeah, I weighed 48 pounds, 23 kilos. I couldn't move anymore, and I couldn't walk. I couldn't move, and defecated in place. And then the British came on the second day, and came over to me, because they were now going to disinfect people. They set up a place to disinfect you and give you a new set of clothes and that. And they took me to the disinfecting room, and they asked me to take my clothes off. And I said, no, I'm not giving up my clothes.
Oh.
And my hair was up like this with gook stuff.
Yeah.
And so they called a British officer who spoke Yiddish, and he came to me and he said, listen, I guarantee you go to the disinfecting room, I will bring your clothes back, and I will have them done, and you will have your clothes. And then I noticed he turned away and cried. That's what made me believe him.
Mm-hmm.
And look at the difference between America and the British. Because when I came here, my family put me in a foster home. They didn't want to keep me. And once I got a scholarship from Pescara in a dramatic workshop, where Rod Steiger, Walter Matthau, they were my classmates, and so I forgot.
Well, so it's Liberation Day, and you're finally liberated, and they sent you to a hospital in Sweden. Did you say?
No, that was later. But let me finish the story.
Okay,
because it's important. So when I got into that school, they arranged for the foster home to move me to Central Park West. Before that, I was in Queens at the doctor's place. And they were very nice. She was very nice. The woman to me took care of me. But at 18, I had to leave. I was on my own.
Mm-hmm.
So I was packing. I didn't see my clothes from Belgium. I said to the woman, what happened? I had my clothes on. Oh, Jack, I didn't want you to have that, to see that, so I threw it in the garbage. Here was a difference which to this day exists in America. Yeah. Forget the past. Don't deal with it.
Right.
And so it was, I hated that woman after that. But then I realized she was simply the consequence of a Hollywood philosophy. Happy ending. Don't think about it. Okay? And so that's, you could see the contrast. What did you want to know?
No, you went to a hospital then in
Yeah.
Sweden or something where.
Oh yeah, they
had
put me in a room by myself,
Yeah.
and I thought
The reason why Sweden is because a lot of
no,
different.
not Sweden.
Not Sweden.
First in Belgium, they put me
Yeah.
in a hospital room by myself.
Yeah.
And what happened was there was a little entryway,
Yeah.
and the doctors were there,
Mhm.
and they spoke German, even though someone. And they said to the nurse, "He's not going to last long, so just be nice to and all that." And I felt furious. I said, "What the hell are they? What? I went through the war. Now I understood why they gave me a room to myself. You know." I said to myself, "Oh, sons of bitches! How dare they put me on like that, right?" I didn't say anything. I couldn't say anything. And then the British did something. They put Bergen-Belsen on fire, and they wanted us to see it going up in flames. There would be a cure. And it was, summer or spring. So they opened the windows and they moved your bed so you could see the fire. And suddenly I see a reflection of myself in the window. I said, "Oh my God, they're right. This guy isn't going to last." Because I never saw myself like this.
You were like down to 48.
I saw myself in
You're
the
down to
mirror.
48 pounds, basically? Yeah. Wow.
So anyway.
But you went to another hospital then, too?
No, from there, the Swedes took all the children. They took us to Sweden.
Right.
And there, too, it was an amazing experience. Because Nurse Hedvig would not go home. She'd stay all night in the hospital to be next to me in case I needed anything. Again, another individual human being.
I'd like to end this thing. There's a camera right there if you look directly at it.
Which camera?
Right there. See that little thing up there? It's very small.
This?
Yeah, that right up there. I just want you to look at it and tell people something they should know about what you experienced. The most important thing they should know.
What?
The most important thing that they should know from what you've experienced. Just look right into the camera and tell them.
Well, you have to know that life is cruel. And that's why the Jews, when they drink, even though they don't understand it, they say l'chaim, to life.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not dancing and singing Hollywood style. It's like saying, "I take you on. I take you on. Go ahead, do what you want. Here, I drink to you." And I would say that it's not even anything you think of consciously. You just know that you don't let the cruelty get you down.
And this has been, spectacular. This has been just, I think it's an important story people needed to hear. And there's more to your life. This is just the beginning of it. The rest of your life is phenomenal. And the things that you did and the people you knew and the places you've been. And I hope that some other time you can come back here and we can do that part of the story, because that's the happier part. Maybe not the marriages, but the rest
Well,
of it.
at the time I thought the marriages, because in a sense I was totally screwed up about love. So.
We'll get into that. Thank you so much, Jack.
Very well.
Jack Garfein.
Okay.
Okay, that's our interview with Jack Garfein. I hope you enjoyed it. I thought we would get more people watching it than were watching it, because it is such a phenomenal story. But I guess, I went to see how many people were listening to it, and not a lot. I think we're very, what's the word I'm looking for? We're very uncaring of the past. And I don't know. I at one point here, I was getting kind of mad when I was seeing. I thought there'd be a lot more people listening to it. And I'm saying to myself, well, maybe they think, oh, well, he'll post it afterwards and I can go watch it then. Well, maybe they said that, maybe they didn't. I don't know if I'm going to post this thing. I think that, the people who saw it. The people who heard it. It is a gift from me to you, and it only made more precious by the fact that you won't be able to hear it anywhere else. That being said, I don't know. Come midnight, I may have a change of heart. I do know that if you want to see the full interview in its entirety, the video, you simply, if you have a Roku, can go to Gabnet TV. Gabnet TV. Subscribe to that channel. Put it on your Roku, and when you go there, there is the whole interview on Gabnet TV in its entirety. No other part of the show or whatever, just the interview from beginning to end. There were some breaks that we took, and those are very obvious when you watch it. But as to whether I'm even going to post this show tonight, I have no idea. Right now, I'm so pissed off. I don't want to, So I don't know. But anyway, it's time to go to our citizens panel, which is always very interesting if anybody calls, because again tonight we went a long time without going to Skype. So we'll just see if anybody's interested in talking either about the interview or anything else, Let me see here. There we go. I want to see here. Recent things. Let me get rid of those. And I have to... I have a lot of work to do here whenever I do this show, especially since I'm doing the video. And I try to do it so transparently that it's not a major problem. Anyway, the lines are open. The Skype lines are open. And we'd love to hear from you. If you don't know how to get a hold of us, the best way to do it is to go over to gabnet.net. And over on the right-hand side of the page is a whole tutorial about how you can become part of the Citizens Panel and how you can call and talk to us. Well, let's see here. Okay. Our first caller up this evening is Jeff Stein. Hello, Jeff. How are you?
I am fine.
Yeah. So, did you hear the interview? Wait a minute. Your mic is turned off for some reason. Is there a reason for that? What? No, can't hear you.
Go. Okay.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
You were going to say.
I saw it. I watched it tonight, and I wasn't able to get it on at the beginning.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes a few minutes.
Yeah.
So, but I listened to most of it.
Yeah.
In spite of it, and it was quite dramatic, of course.
Yeah.
As you saw, and. I don't know. It's very emotional stuff. Just to listen to it.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. But you hear some things that the question I always wanted to ask, and I got a chance to ask it, was, did you ever laugh? And he said yes. We laughed and we sang, and we did all kinds of things like that. And that's the kind of thing that you didn't think went on in the concentration camps. But I wanted to know because I couldn't imagine you going into that kind of situation without even having something like, gallows humor about the whole thing. With the whistling in the dark that we all have a tendency to do. So that was a question I always wanted to ask. Tony, did you get to hear it at all?
Yeah, I heard the last 30 minutes. I mean, he was down to 47 pounds. That's sad.
Yeah, well, it weighs considerably more. Now, he's a short guy to begin with.
I was thinking about what you said. I mean, I don't even know how they were able to just even stay focused on anything. I mean, just to know everybody was dying around that. I mean, you can't even fathom it, really.
Yeah.
People just total bloodlines gone. I don't know,
Yeah.
I would have just lost my mind, I think. That's what I'm saying. That's why it's probably so hard for him to talk. I don't think I'd ever be able to talk about that again.
Well, you know, I caught him at a very rough time of the year for that, because it was Passover that he got arrested, and it was the 15th of April that he got liberated. And both of those now, as he's gotten older, become very bad times of the year for him.
I would imagine he got to be so depressed on certain times.
You would think that as the years have gone on and his life has turned out to be very good, okay, that he would not be as depressed over that. That he would have some kind of, distant vision.
Survivor's guilt.
Well, no, I don't think it's a survivor's guilt. You know, believe me, he has no reason to feel guilty that he survived.
But I mean, you know, I wonder if I would feel like that. Like if I knew so many of my friends are gone.
Well, I think
why me? You know,
I don't know if he said it in the interview, but I've said to him in the past, why was Liberation Day a bad day for you? And he said, because I found out who was gone. You know, I didn't know where my mother was dead. I didn't know my sister was dead or my father was dead. What's also interesting is that he got to see his father one more time.
Yeah, I mean, that's something. Wow.
You know, I can't remember which camp. I think he said Auschwitz is where he met up with him.
I mean, it's a great interview. It's just sad. I was actually, I was crying because how can you not? It's like, you know, you miss people when they're gone normally.
Yeah.
But to totally have everything gone from you, it's got to be like, I don't even know, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
It's such a hard thing to live with. I mean, he's a very brave man, I have to say that.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if bravery is the term you use. You know, you have no choice in the matter.
I don't know if I'd be able to move on, Alex. I don't know.
Well,
I think I'd go into a shell.
Well, a lot of people, we've had a lot of survivors of the concentration camps who have gone on and had very decent lives and feel that living a good life is a testament to those who went before. Yes, Jeff?
Well, the ones that I know, and it was only 2 people, and who are survivors.
There aren't many of them left. Let's mention.
No, they're not here anymore. They're all deceased at this point.
Yeah.
But they were. They didn't really want to talk about it.
Yeah.
It was not for common discussions. Let's put it that way. They didn't want to talk about it. That's all it is.
I think I don't know. I only got to know Jack in the last year or so, and so I don't know how he was about this subject back in the day. But now he's 87 years old, and you get to think, hey, there are less days left than there were before me, and I got to get all this stuff off my chest, you know. So that could be too. Phil.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
You know, I have a very close friend whose father was a survivor of the camps. He was in 2 camps, and he.
By the way, Jack was in 11 total.
Well, if you got money, you can travel.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it was a very similar experience. My friend's dad is still alive. He's about the same age as Jack. And he didn't really talk about it either. It's actually harder for my very close friend, who is the son of the survivor, to talk about it than it is for his father. And his mother was also in camps, and they met when they were liberated in Sweden.
Yeah, you told us this the other night.
Yeah. Well, it was a long time ago, but anyway, you know, it's amazing what people can do to people. You know, when he said that he climbed up on that truck and it was full of dead bodies, and that's, you know, one way he survived. But this life was probably normal for him at that time. You know, that was what reality was. That's what normalcy was. I don't know if they were thinking about surviving. They just lived. And to hear another survivor tell the story, and the story is always so similar to my friend's dad's story. And my friend's dad's story was documented. Spielberg had a project. Now, was Jack interviewed for that project?
I think Jack doesn't want anything to do with it. He thinks that Spielberg trivialized the Holocaust.
Well, this was totally.
At least I don't want to speak for Jack, but that's kind of what he's implied to me.
Although, if you were to listen to the interview, it wasn't done by Spielberg. It was done by.
Well, I know. It's the Shoah project.
Right, and
all of a sudden it was when all of a sudden one day Spielberg realized he was Jewish, you know, and I guess because it had dramatic purposes, you know.
I'm not so sure, because a lot of these interviews never saw the light of day.
No, what I'm saying is the interviews were done for the Shoah project, which Spielberg started after doing Schindler's List, so that these stories could be memorialized. And that's a very good idea.
Yes.
But you know, Spielberg is a Hollywood product, and everything to him kind of has a product to it.
Yeah, but who else did it? Nobody other than this.
I think there were other people doing that, getting Holocaust survivors to tell stories. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Haven't you ever heard of the Holocaust Museum?
No, they didn't exist.
Well, no, they did exist at that time, and there were people who were having.
Don't you read the papers?
Huh?
Don't you read the papers? Don't our enemies say that there was never a Holocaust?
Oh, those are the fucking nut jobs, really.
Yeah.
Fucking Mount
They happen to be right wingers who voted for Trump.
Like Iranians?
Yeah, Iranians.
Yeah. They say that there was no Holocaust.
How can they even say that, these psychos?
They say it because they hate. And
I don't know that I've heard the Iranians, as a matter of course, saying that there was no Holocaust.
Yes.
I think that there have been some Germans who've done that. There have been white supremacists in America who say that.
The Iranians say it, and they say it because they call for the destruction of Israel and the Jews.
Oh, God, here we go again.
But
and let's all get along.
Yeah.
Let's all get along.
But Jack said, when he was talking.
Hey, listen. Just hold on, because knowing Trump, any day now he's going to say how great the Ayatollah is as a person. Okay, because he just did it for Kim Jong-un and said this is a guy he called Rocket Boy, okay?
Trumpers wouldn't give him no matter what he did.
But why all of a sudden secondly, everybody's pissed about him saying what a wonderful person Kim Jong-un is, because he's responsible for the deaths of countless numbers of people in his country.
Right. It's crazy.
And yet Trump is now saying, "Oh, he's a great guy. He's an honorable person."
Because he met with him. He's fucking nuts, Phil. I don't care what you say. The guy is crazy. He loves himself. It's all vanity. That's it.
So anyway, the idea is, Jack said that he didn't support this never again because Tony, will you?
Yeah, shut up, Tony.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So anyway, when it comes to this,
let the moron speak.
He said, in Rwanda and other countries that it was happening again, and that humanity and mankind was allowing this to happen, and it shouldn't. I agree that you can't let this happen in other countries, no matter whether they're Jews or not. But you really have to support never again, not only for the Jews, but for those other people.
I support it, but I also support it by saying that it would be nice if Israel lived up to that.
Oh, all they want to do is live in peace.
Well, for years they've been jailing Arabs in Israel. They've had their own little form of concentration camps going on in Israel.
If you read the Hitler's Mufti, for years since the 1920s,
don't give me all this bullshit. Don't give me this Chaim Yankel bullshit.
Has been attacks, and so these Arabs are going and they're stabbing.
They're stabbing. Well, they're the ones stabbing in London, I think.
What about the buses and the school children that have been killed in Israel over the last 20, 30 years? They blow up buses. You couldn't even get on a bus. You know how many burned out buses?
You tried to get on a subway in New York?
And department stores. The Arabs have blown up in Israel. You forget. You got selective memory when it comes to this. these people are at war with the Israelis, and you discount the Israelis for protecting themselves. How could you?
Let's see. Somebody just wrote here. Who was it? I don't know who it is. Zorab36 said, "Stop being stupid, Phil."
Well, Zorad just showed me how ignorant he really is.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just reading what somebody wrote here.
Just because he wrote it doesn't mean it's true.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So anyway, the Iranians will be great. The leaders of Iran will be great people very soon in the eyes of Donald Trump as soon as they say something nice about him.
Thanks for putting those words in his mouth.
Well, I'm not putting the words in his mouth about what he said about Kim Jong-un just the other day.
Kim Jong-un comes to the table and joins the world of civilized people.
But all of a sudden, this is in a matter of a couple of weeks that he's suddenly an honorable human being who can be trusted?
So you want him to negotiate with somebody?
No, but I don't think you call wonderful a person who's responsible for the deaths of hundreds upon hundreds of his own people at his hand.
Know what he has up his sleeve.
No, all I'm saying, do you think that a person like Kim Jong-un, who we know killed his uncle by literally obliterating him by shooting him with a cannon?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's just a good example. And the hundreds of other people that have died as a result of being against his regime should in any way by the President of the United States be called an honorable person.
Look, we
don't try to excuse it, Phil. Why don't you say that for once Trump's full of shit?
I don't think so, because if we don't arrive at peace with this madman...
Well, how about Iran? We should do the same thing with Iran.
Iran wants to build an atomic bomb.
Oh, they can't.
They can't. They aren't building an atomic bomb. They've stopped building atomic bombs, and the only way they're going to start again is if we get rid of that treaty, because then they have no treaty to abide by.
Well, they got a treaty with everybody else except the United States.
Well, it'll go to hell if the United States isn't part of it.
Doesn't have to be part of it.
The logic on the part of Trump is really stupid. I think the French Prime Minister today said it best, that, we have to take the treaty we currently have and just add to it if you're unhappy with that there isn't enough bite in it. Okay.
You say that they're not going to add to it. They said, hey, they signed the treaty. That's it. That's the deal.
Well, all I'm saying is it would be a big miscalculation on our part to pull out of that, because what we want to do is at least we've got some assurances of on-site inspections and things like that.
All we've got is kicking the can.
Yes, Renee. Well, yeah, and he's kicking the can up the road with Kim Jong-un, who we're going to be sold out to. Anyway, Renee.
So, did anybody watch Macron's speech?
No.
To the Congress?
Yeah. So I looked at CNN, and CNN talked about it briefly, but then they talked about Melania's big night and what Melania was wearing, and Melania and the First Lady of France, blah, 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 blah. I go over to BBC.com, and they pointed out every part of Macron's speech that trumped over Trump. He was mouthing off to Trump big time, and we didn't put anything on CNN. But if you go over to BBC.com, and then you can watch it all or watch portions of it where he danced on top of Trump's bullshit. And it was interesting to see that CNN is kowtowing to, I don't know who CNN or what CNN is thinking. I haven't been into any other websites, but once I saw the BBC website where they were covering his speech and not Melania's outfit, I can say we're missing the point.
They covered Ivanka's outfit, too.
No, they covered Ivanka's outfit, and they covered the First Lady's outfit. Both First Ladies. And she was inappropriately dressed yet again, if we're going to talk fashion.
How was she inappropriately dressed?
She was see-through for a state function.
What a pig.
Was she wearing underwear?
No, the top of her dress was see-through and the bottom of her dress was see-through. She was standing next to, I don't care who she was standing next to, but in the same exact shot was Mrs. Macron wearing a Chanel as well, and that Chanel was appropriate. for the event.
Is in her 60s, right?
I said appropriate for the event, not appropriate for age. She's not wearing trans things that you can see through at a state dinner.
I couldn't see through it.
I could see through it.
Don't somebody tell her, like, don't wear that.
It's just funny that CNN only talked about the bullshit, and then when you get over to BBC, they talked about how Macron handed Trump his ass on multiple occasions.
So are you dissing CNN now?
I'm not happy with it.
Did we ever say we like? Wait a minute. Did we ever say we like CNN?
No, not really.
No.
But having said that, it's the first news source I go to. But then I go to another one after that, and another one after that.
Do you ever watch Fox? Do you ever go over to Fox just to see how they're parsing the words on a news story? Because I do. I don't have
that. Why do you give them that much time?
Well, no, because I like being in bizarro land. You know,
if you look at the statistics on how often CNN is correct in what they say or in what they broadcast, it's very low. So if you think about how much time of your life you want to spend getting news from a shitty source that's incorrect, then watch CNN. If you want to spend your real life looking at real news and reading real news, you kind of have to raise the bar.
Real news according to Renee?
No, honey, real news according to the world. Because BBC is just a shitty example, right?
See, different news sources give you different stories. Just like you said, CNN was giving you a story about dresses, and BBC was giving you what you felt was the real deal. Fox gives you news stories that those ones don't run.
No. As much as I like apparel, okay, I don't give a it's one of the Patrick things. It's nothing that we should be discussing when there's something important to discuss. I mean, I'm a Chanel freak. I would love to have my entire closet look like something out of that movie about. Anyway, I would love to have a huge closet the size of my house.
In Hawaii, you better learn to like Tommy Bahama.
Yeah, well, they're getting a lot of my money. But the issue is that it's not something you should be talking. It's not news talking about Chanel instead of talking about the importance of what was happening at the state dinner.
Well, but you see, this is the problem. Look, this is the problem I have with all these news outfits. Okay, I have the same problem with MSNBC too. I mean, it's that they know they're playing to a certain audience, and they want to keep that audience happy. Rather than tell you what you need to know, they tell you what they think you want to hear. And that goes for Fox, and that goes for MSNBC, and that goes for CNN, who's taking an adversarial position. Are you there, Charlene?
Sorry, Alex. Yeah, I'm there.
Were you nodding out there?
Oh, Tad, I'm sorry.
You were holding your phone, and you were going, I thought we were getting...
Wait. Which hand was your hurt? The surgery hand?
Oh, this one.
How's it doing?
Yeah. Well, the wrist part is okay, but the ring finger part, it's kind of lumpy. And he said I should massage, But I'm going to a occupational hand therapist now.
Okay, that's a good thing.
Is there anybody that calls this program that doesn't have to go to Lourdes, for crying out loud?
I know. Yeah, I need Lourdes, right?
Gee,
the water from Lourdes will cure me.
Poor Kevin with his foot.
Oh, yeah, no, that's bad.
Yeah.
That's serious.
Yeah, that's serious stuff.
On to a different subject.
Sure.
Oh, can I say
well, I don't know how you got to drag us off talking about Jack and into this ditch, Phil.
How did I drag you off?
Yes, you did. You suddenly did your Iranian, I hate the Iranians bit.
Well, the Iranians hate the Jews.
We weren't talking about that. We were talking about a man's life experience.
And he mentioned never again and the things that are happening around the world today. And so it's a perfectly pertinent...
Because he maintains, and quite rightly so, I believe, that the human race is terrible. It's individual... Well, hold on a second. Let me finish, Phil. Yes, the human race is terrible, but individuals are terrific. In other words, it's been his experience, especially in this scenario of the camps, that humanity was terrible. But there were individual human beings who were wonderful, and when it literally risked their lives to save other people. I mean, like that soldier who held him up, you know, and literally saved his life by doing that. And that's an individual, and that was a Nazi. We're not talking about, you know, some other person in the camp or some Polish soldiers. We're talking about a Nazi, and he helped save his life. So, you know, I mean...
that's why you can't categorize everybody by the affiliation that they have.
Okay.
Republicans.
No, we can see in advance that the Republicans are taking us to hell. We don't need
Listen,
to wait
I don't know
until
that the Democrats don't have their ability to take us to hell too.
Oh, you know what? Like I keep saying, Bill Clinton's issue is about to bite us in the face. Can't wait for that. Self-directed IRAs are about to hit us big time. I'm sorry, Charlene, you had something you were going to say.
Yeah.
Oh, well, this isn't important. It's just a Phil thing. But I've been listening, and he keeps mentioning, first he couldn't pronounce oxybutynin, but women take oxybutynin too. And for the same thing, because I got a doctor to give it to me, and I don't have to take it so much now.
Where did that come from?
Huh?
When did he talk about...
Phil, is this the medication you were talking about that you can't get Kaiser's Cog back?
Yeah.
Well, they gave me something else, and it's working.
Oh, okay. Was it a generic that they gave you?
I don't know. It turns out I had it all along.
What's it called?
That's why they ignored you.
It starts with an S. Let me look at his note. I took one tonight. It's working.
So
you don't
Charlie,
need to
like
I think it's called Stop P, isn't it?
Yeah.
Stop P, right?
Charlene, did you use it and you liked it?
Well, it's bad for your kidneys and all this, but I mean, I think it might have helped a little, but there was other stuff that happened, and you know, now I stopped taking it because I had a surgery and I had to like drain fluid.
Okay, well, here we
like,
go
I'm
again.
taking that to hold the fluid in. I better stop taking it.
I think it's called Sanctura, Sanctura.
Oh,
Never heard of that one.
That's what they gave me. Small, I can swallow it. It's okay.
Sounds like
But when
the
you
name
were
of some
talking about it, I
exotic
just thought-
singer. Yeah, Sanctura
Women
sings.
take it as well, so it's like you know, anybody, male, female, you know.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Enough with
Sorry,
enough
that
with the
was off
medicine. We
One
had
more thing for the waiting room.
What?
Charlene, are you using your CPAP?
No more. No more.
Oh,
Okay.
CPAP is important. Well, that's okay.
I got a new one.
I gave up on it, and they hate me because I don't want.
Well,
to
you know
They get
something.
really
I snort a lot, and I don't snore anymore. So.
With your
Trying to
CPAP
lose
machine?
weight.
No,
Or
with
weight?
losing 55 pounds.
Yeah, that'll help.
That-
But some people who snore all the time, that isn't losing weight isn't going to help them not snore.
It's the throat structure.
Right.
Okay, I have some more boring stuff that I won't mention about, but Alex, you know, you said you look good. I think you look really good. I don't think you need to lose that much more.
Well,
But you look
I
good
actually
now.
I gained 3 pounds. I gained a whole bunch some weight in the last couple of days, and then in one day I took off 3 pounds. And the way I did it was, it turned out that the time that I gained that weight, I had ribs, and I guess
Chinese food.
it retained water.
From the salt.
And in one day I
could see that.
lost 3 pounds. You know.
I could do that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I can see that.
And
we always have that discussion after we eat Chinese food. How do your wedding rings fit? Well, they
Right.
don't.
That's inflammation from MSG.
But that must be, Alex, why you're good, because 1 pound and you notice and everything.
Well,
'Cause I really got a lot.
if I had a job, I wouldn't have these things to get depressed about. I'd have something to do to occupy my time. You know.
Right.
Jeff, are you bored in retirement?
Sometimes.
Okay.
I'm bored.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
but I mean,
But there's a lot of things I do.
all I'm saying, I'm tired. I'm kind of tired of watching the news. To be honest with you, I just find it. It's boring. It's just boring, and it's tedious, and I really don't. It's getting to the point where I don't give a shit. I can't do anything about Trump. The only person that can do something about Trump is maybe the people that are going after him, like Mueller and so on. But you know, oh gee, I left my tea in the other room. Okay.
Yeah, Giuliani's going to go after Mueller.
Yeah, I saw Giuliani join the ranks. That's so embarrassing.
Yeah, well, any day now they'll find out stuff about Giuliani.
Yeah, boy, if he's got some hookers and P-tapes behind him, I'm pretty sure.
Alex, Giuliani's wife is leaving him.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Oh.
Number
Did
3.
your friend, no, that was the other guy, the cop guy.
Hold on a second. Talk to each other. I want to get my tea.
So Giuliani's wife was a cop. She was a police captain, I think.
Who was he married to? She was on TV.
Donna Hanover?
Donna Hanover.
I think that was the second one, though.
Yeah.
Wait, how many wives has he had?
He's got 3. He even married his second cousin, I think.
And then he married this one, and now she's leaving him.
I'm serious. This guy's crazy. The inbreeding.
Second cousin?
It's those Italians.
It's true.
But I heard
crazy.
a cab driver in the 80s told me that he's half Jewish and half Italian.
I think he married his second cousin.
Oh.
Yeah.
Giuliani could be Jewish.
Tony, you might be right
a cab
about
driver told me that when I lived in New York
that
in
combination.
the 80s.
I'm not so sure he is.
Well, he could have been wrong. He was just a cab driver. What did he know?
I found it.
I wasn't sure.
I found my tea. It was, guess where it was? It was in the Keurig machine. I had forgotten to get my tea.
Did you turn off the oven or the stove?
The stove. Right? No, that has nothing to do with it.
Okay. Well, we just don't want to hear Marjorie talking about it again.
Right. We don't want you to burn your house down.
Well, you know what? What I've done, what I found is I was having certain lapses of memory. Like when I went to Costco the other day, I checked out and then I was leaving the place and suddenly realized I hadn't put all my groceries in the bag. So I had to go back and do that. I'm going, why did
you have that has bags?
Why did oh yeah, Costco has the greatest shopping bags you can possibly buy. They never wear out.
Oh, the ones that are fabric bags.
Yeah. So
I go there and
they're not fabric. They're not fabric, but they're made of something else, and they just last forever.
Right. They're fabric on the outside with an inside insulated area so that you can buy ice and put it in.
No, that's not the one either.
That's not the one? No, you're talking about the ones that fold down? This one
just with handles. It has handles. And,
it must be the fold down.
Yeah, and the thing is, I finally, when I throw them out because they start to smell because all the juice and everything that's gotten in there over the years. But they last forever, those damn things,
Yeah, so does the salmonella. Some of those diseases or those airborne things.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, they don't
use those because of the salmonella. You can't wash
them. But anyway, the point was that this happened to me, and I suddenly realized that maybe it was because I was taking Xanax every night to put me to sleep. So I stopped taking the Xanax, and the last 2 days my memory has started getting better and better and better.
Have you taken a semi-automatic rifle yet?
No.
So Xanax is doing to you what sleeping aids do to women, and that is it stays in their system a lot longer than if you were another person.
Yeah.
And that means that you're impaired for a longer period of time after you've taken it.
Yeah.
So you now know that when you wake up in the morning, were you only taking how many pills were you taking at night?
I was just taking a small, like a quarter of a pill.
And that stayed with you?
Yeah, apparently. I mean, it just got to the point where I was not remembering things and, feeling just like I was a vegetable.
That's good to know. That's good to know.
I mean, I'll take it every now and then, but not most of the time, not as much as I was. I'm trying to just, if I can't go to sleep, I don't go to sleep. Big deal,
Around for Waffle Houses?
No, I don't go. Phil.
Did they find that guy?
It took him like 2 days. Thank God they found him. I was going to worry.
They did find him?
Yeah.
With his shirt off and his pants on, right?
Yeah. And after 30 years, they think they have found the California
I was reading
Golden State Killer. Yeah.
And he was a cop.
He got him.
He was a cop.
Auburn
cop. There you go.
Yeah. And
he got fired though.
Well, what was even worse about it was that, not worse about it, but Patton Oswalt's wife, before she died, had finished a book on the subject and named this guy as the Golden State Killer. And today they had Patton on television saying, bless you, dear, your police, your detective work was accurate.
Now, I understand that they found him due to advanced DNA evidence.
Mm-hmm.
And it was only the last week that they had an idea about this guy. You know.
But she had written this book, and in the book, she names this guy as the prime suspect.
That's a thing. Yeah, because this guy, I guess, was fired for shoplifting. He shoplifted a hammer, and they fired him from the Auburn Police Department.
Yeah. Now the question is going to be, how easy or difficult would it be to find him guilty at this point, or to prove it? You know?
They have DNA evidence.
Well, they may have DNA evidence, but it happened so long ago. There's still a lot of other things that you need to convict.
There were over 50 rapes, and how many homicides?
That I don't know. I mean, I don't even. You know, I was there, I guess, when they had the Golden State Killer, but I don't remember the story.
So he's a serial killer,
right?
As a matter of fact, I watched this documentary they have on Netflix on the Bhagwan. What's his name?
Oh,
you know,
I saw that.
Yeah, the guy up in Oregon.
Yeah, and I kind of knew that was going on, but I didn't really pay much attention to it. You know,
mine sold them 100 tables from a company called Amisco. They do these brightly painted metal tables.
Gee, you have a link to everything, don't you, Phil?
Well, 12 murders and 45 rapes.
How many murders?
12 murders and 45 rapes.
Oh, wow.
I think that they, from all of those contacts, that they would have collected enough DNA and it tied them into all of them? Or
over how many years?
1970 through 1980s, and the DNA testing at the time period was 0 to none. Was
70s,
minor.
Right, yeah.
Now, the funny thing is that it went from 75 to 85, and then it stopped. So I don't know what the guy was doing from 85 till present, but
like the Zodiac was like that too. Right?
Yeah, but I think this Zodiac stopped because the guy's dead. This guy's
Boston Strangler stopped or something too, right?
No, the Boston did the Boston Strangler stop, or did he stop once they caught him? That's what I'm trying to remember.
Well, I think they put him in jail. That DeSalvo guy.
Albert DeSalvo, yeah.
Right, and then I forget, like, did something happen? Well, maybe, they thought it stopped.
By the way, about the whole memory thing, today, you'll hear it next week, but I did an interview with Bubbles that won't be on till next week, or maybe I might run it tomorrow night, I don't know. And in it, he says that he has a book of famous personalities, movie personalities, and that he went through it, and he wants to see how many of those I could identify.
Oh, yeah.
And he
always says you know everything, like it.
That would be cool.
Well, there were names that these weren't as simple as Hedy Lamarr. Mm-hmm. These were as J.C. Flippin.
Right, that's intense.
What was his name? No, I can't remember. But anyway, these were very, very obscure names, many of them, and I nailed them. I nailed 99% of them. And was
that before or after you started to stop the Xanax?
Stop the Xanax, yeah.
Oh, and now we got more information.
If you listen to the show, I nailed 99% of them, and some of them he was just amazed by.
So maybe
doesn't Bubbles have that thing like some of those celebrities, like the one from Taxi, that girl?
No. She has.
They're amazing that they can go back in time.
Yeah, but she has an amazing memory. I've had her on the program, but
Mary Lou Henner.
Yeah, she's a human party game. I mean, it's to see if you can stump her. But no, Bubbles is not as what he can do is he remembers dates. He can remember. If I say to him July 31st, 1956, what day was it on? He could tell me immediately what day it was.
Mary Lou does that. Yeah.
I don't know what it is and how they do it, but it's a trick.
No, it's not a trick. Well, no. Then there's the other part that isn't a trick, in which he can actually tell you certain things that happen on that day to him. Same thing with Mary Lou Henner.
I forget what they call that, but 60 Minutes had a whole bunch of people that were like that.
Well, she was one of them that was on there.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. But it's it's not. There is a method to how he does it, but it's kind of weird, So whatever.
And fast. He's good at it.
Huh?
He's good at doing it.
Well, but he's capable of doing it. I mean, he has the ability to do it and remember certain things that happen to him on certain days. So whatever. Anyway, let me see here. So where were we? Let's see here. The president has a good sense of judgment when it comes to people he wants to hire. This guy who he wants to head up, what is it, the VA? Yeah. Really good choice. Gee, what a wonderful choice. Yeah. Because he'll give all those soldiers free prescriptions.
Now, he's being railroaded. There is no proof to those actions.
Phil.
They're all baseless.
They say he got drunk at a party and then literally demolished a government car.
Seriously,
wait a minute. That's not an inference. That's on the record, Phil.
That's be a shitty record.
Is he's been vetted
government car. You bring it back. It's been demolished. You ask what happened. I crashed it. Then you check his breath, and he's drunk. You have somewhat of an idea of what has gone on.
No, it could have been that he backed into somebody's fender too.
That's it.
And what a great judge! What a great judge of character. And Rudy Giuliani's going to be another one. He's lucky he's not getting Giuliani vetted for anything, because Giuliani would not pass the sniff test.
Yeah.
You agreed with that. You agreed with that, Phil. You agreed with that about Giuliani. He wouldn't pass the sniff test.
I like Giuliani. I've met him twice, and he's a great.
He seems to
Didn't
be.
you have to pay to meet him, though, Phil? You had
to pay to meet him. Yeah,
somebody paid to meet him, but I got the free ride.
Yeah, he seems to me to be very entertaining. So he's more like the clown in the outfit.
I'll tell you the trouble with Giuliani is that I constantly have the feeling when I look at Giuliani, there's some kind of food in his teeth. He just has that look about him. Right. Hi,
I can't get over the glass. I mean, my glasses.
Hi, Kevin. How are you? How are you? It's Alex waving at my friends here. See, I have to do this every now and then because I paid a lot of money for this new camera, and I think it looks pretty damn good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, Alex.
Not the one you're. Not the one.
I was going to talk to you about this. The Emperor has no clothes.
What?
When you had a girlfriend on Friday, you could really tell the difference, when the split screen was on.
Yeah. What do you mean you could tell the difference? I had two new cameras there. Those were two different cameras. There was two of the new cameras.
This last Friday?
Is there field on this camera, or
what?
Is there depth of field? Can you set an f-stop on it? So
no, I don't have to.
No, you don't have.
This is a webcam, Phil.
Yeah, you're on your left camera.
I'm not going to be taking perfect, wonderful photographs. Plus, the camera you're looking at me with is not that camera. The camera that's on the air is the camera. Okay.
Okay.
You're on your left camera now, aren't you?
Huh?
You're on your left camera now.
What do you mean I'm on my left camera?
Well, he's always on a left camera.
Your other camera.
Well, I have the camera on this camera here is the one that you see.
Right.
This one here is the one that they see. Okay.
That means Kevin was correct. It's on your left.
It's on my left, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
There, Kevin, thank you for explaining it to all of us.
Yeah.
I see the Alex Bennett microphone, which is not your normal microphone. You're usually on the other one.
Oh, no,
and he has a new thingy.
No, I took that one off.
The on-air sign is not in the background.
Well, yes, it is. It's not. It's not
Skype.
Oh, I see.
I'm paying attention.
Well, I took this the flag. This is what we call a flag in radio. Let me. This is what they call a flag. And I was on the other microphone, and I said, "Why don't I have it here? It should be here. Let me see here. I should turn it." Whoops.
Wow, you should mute that. What, Charlie?
We're seeing it backwards anyway.
the other night on Friday when Girlfriend was on and the cameras were so clear, I was watching on the television. I have a big screen that I had it on, and something else flashes, not just the on-air. Something looked like it was blinking, like a photograph or something.
No.
Smaller.
It's Tim and a conspiracy.
I don't know. But all this.
Where is Tim here? Yeah, we need a good conspiracy. Well, yes. So, anybody want to talk about the NRA and Russian black money? No?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Actually, I don't know much about it other than, haha, fuck you, Phil.
Hey, the money I gave him was American.
No, what's the story, though? I heard something about it today, and I heard it out of the side of my head, and I wasn't listening, paying attention to it.
That was my problem, too.
The Russians were doing something with the NRA.
They were laundering a shitload of money through the NRA.
How do you feel about that one, Phil? You laundered some of your money through the NRA, didn't you?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, and didn't get his jacket. Yeah.
Yeah. I get a card.
I bet the Russians got a shitload of jackets.
Yeah, they probably did. Yeah. My jacket.
How do you it's his jacket.
How do you feel about that one, Phil?
I'm pissed.
Huh?
Pissed. I'm going to go out and get a AR-15 and order up some pancakes.
You see that was, you don't have the Waffle House by now. That was terrible. That was a racist attack, I think.
Yeah, I don't think he knew.
That kid looked like a supremacist.
What?
No, I haven't read the whole thing yet.
Oh, okay.
He had the AR-15 too. You see, they got to outlaw that gun.
Yeah.
No, got to outlaw guys like like his father who gave it to him.
Yeah, exactly, Alex. The father gave him the guns back. Can't we arrest both of them?
The kid is mentally ill and the father is mentally ill, but we don't have a healthcare system so that we can figure that out before he goes in and shoots up people. So thank you for that, Phil. Why don't we have a healthcare system? The Republicans got rid of the healthcare system.
I shouldn't get the fault.
And then the Golden State murderer, it turns out to be a cop. How about that, Phil?
Oh, there you go.
A fire.
Not a good day for Phil's philosophy of life.
Yeah.
You mean Republicans' philosophy of life?
You remember 9/11? What came out of it was they found that the left hand wasn't talking to the right, that the different agencies weren't exchanging information. Well, we have the same problem. So then they developed the Department of Homeland Security, but we have the same problem going on in our mental health systems and our medical systems, our schools, the military. Nobody is talking to each other. And
well, I always use my right hand for most everything, and my left hand when I want to make it feel like it's somebody else.
So basically, Phil, you're saying that if this was one company or one group of people that had access all the way across the board, that both mental health and healthcare would be a plus to the actual company.
I did not say if it was one group of people. I did not say.
But you can't talk.
I said they don't share information.
Right, but I own my own company. Why the fuck would I share my information with you?
That information is public.
It's my information. And not only that, but now that we've seen Facebook, it's my money because I have all the data on those people. So I'm not going to share that information with you until the government comes up with a healthcare system.
Well, so you're going to just hold them hostage and let more guys go around shooting them?
You don't care if people die. You don't care if people die. You don't.
Yeah. Well, hey, I care if children die and babies, and the unborn.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so the two black women that were shot down.
They didn't make it again.
Yeah.
What? Wait a minute. What'd you say, Jeff?
I didn't make Phil's list this time again.
You mean old people?
Protection. Oh. He doesn't protect
old people.
But
you know what, Phil? We can't attack this healthcare, this mental health thing until we get a healthcare system. So by any NRA member saying that this is a healthcare issue,
that's your take on it.
Mental care issue is bullshit.
Your threat, Renee, is no healthcare system. No mental health. No shit.
All right, Phil.
Wait
a minute. Let's let somebody else talk. Charlene has her hand up.
Mm-hmm. Well, you guys just brought up healthcare. Now, I don't know if this is off, but what is going on with healthcare? Remember when he got in, he was going to repeal Obamacare. Is anything going on with that, or
no? He didn't get it. He didn't get it repealed.
It's just going to die. It's going to die because
so
the funding's going to dry up,
and
it's going to die.
And we'll just keep what's in.
And the Republicans don't care that those people are going to die. But Phil, let's talk about this.
Thank God I've got SAG-AFTRA.
There you go. But you know what? Most people don't have unions, and depending on what the corporation, or excuse me, depending on what the Supreme Court comes down with, we won't have unions anymore, depending on which side they come down on.
If the Supreme Court, what they're saying today is they seem to be siding with Trump when it comes to the Muslim ban.
Only parts of it.
Yeah.
Only parts of it.
So if they're siding with him for that, then they're going to side with him for pretty much everything.
No, they're siding. He revised his mandate, and they are agreeing with the revisions. As they may agree with the revisions, which are vast, actually. Really, he didn't get what he wanted. He had to revise it in order to get something that he wanted. Yeah.
So, Phil, why is it that you believe that mental health is not something covered under health care?
I didn't say that.
No, because you were saying to me that I don't want to, I can't have, I'm on the team of you can't have mental health care unless you have health care.
No, I didn't say that. You said that you wanted to have one system so that the information doesn't have to be shared, that it's under one system. And I'm saying there's nothing wrong with the systems, but if they did share the information, that was the problem we had with 9/11. They created the Department of Homeland Security, which is also failing when it comes to sharing that information, but it was due to the lack of information sharing.
Bill, you're talking about the police not being able to communicate with the firemen, that kind of thing?
No,
he's talking about the FBI and the CIA.
Communicating with the
CIA. Okay, I know.
Not the CIA. I don't know what department it is.
But if it's a private company, why is it that you think that they should turn over private information?
It's the president's what do they call it? Secret Service, a private company?
No, what are you talking? A United States government entity? How did we get here?
Because that's what I'm talking about.
What?
I'm talking about the military. I'm talking about the Secret Service. Now, the kid who shot up the Waffle House, he was arrested by the Secret Service making threats.
Oh, at the White House, right?
Get into the White House.
You mean that tragic Waffle House situation you made a joke about earlier?
Well, it's been 48 hours now. He can joke.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
The time limit's over.
If you've ever had the food at the Waffle House, it was an improvement when the guy shot it up.
Well,
okay, we're back into. I think that there's a 3-day limit on that joke. So you know.
Well, the YouTube lady, was she not the person who was pushing cabbage as like the greatest healthcare idea since cabbage was invented?
You know, all these guys are nuts.
Well, yeah. But the point is we don't have any way of gauging this, do we, Phil? We have no way of finding out who in the United States is stable and who isn't stable prior to them buying a gun.
They don't share the information. There's no database.
But most people in the United States don't have health care, so why would you think they have mental health care? So therefore, these imaginary information that you're talking about isn't going to be there to be shared.
These people have been interacting with the mental health system since they were 10 years old.
Let's hear what other people have to say.
I don't know that.
Yeah. All right.
Let's hear what other people have to say.
Anybody else want to talk about mental health in the state of America, or do you want to pick something different?
Kevin always has a Jeff.
Yeah, I think that a lot of my doctors are very aware of some of the mental problems that I have, and I don't know how much that information is limited or public, but I know all the doctors at Yale University know all about it because their information is totally shared in their system.
Let me ask you, though, are your mental problems, Phil, please, are your mental problems due to the heart problems you've had and that they cause a certain amount of depression and so on and so forth? Or is this something where you'll go to the Waffle House with a gun?
Neither. It's because I was taking a drug called Coumadin, and because of my valve, and that Coumadin caused a bleeder in my brain, which ultimately caused a stroke.
I wanted to know why you were talking to us. That explains it. I was curious.
Look, it took me 2 years to be able to just say that.
Yeah.
Crippled and crazy.
Isn't sometimes that the ounce of cure or the is more dangerous than the disease itself? I mean, here was something that gave you a stroke when it was trying to help you with a heart valve situation.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
I guess they took you off the Coumadin, but did they replace it with something else?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, because I was thinking, when you have a
Eliquis or
mechanical
something?
valve, you have to take Coumadin.
Yeah.
So what did they replace Coumadin with?
An AR-15.
Well, no, you change the valve, so it's
and then you won't need it anymore.
tissue valve, either a pig valve or
My brother's got
cow valve, whatever.
What if you're kosher? Can you have a pig valve? I never had anybody give me a. No, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding.
Because you're not eating.
Well, no, but I mean, like, for instance, pigs are also treif in the Islamic religion as well. I mean, can a person who's an Islamic have a pig valve put in their chest?
Well, did you hear what Jeff said?
What?
Yeah, Jeff.
Don't eat it.
I said it's okay because you're not eating it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
That's what my rabbi told me.
Did you ask him that question?
Oh, yeah, why not?
Yeah, of course I asked the question.
Oh, okay. So I'm not that much of an idiot here to ask it, you know.
Do you have AFib or something?
Jeff, after you got that valve, did you find that you started to root around a lot?
He's terribly.
Hey, he was making a fortune in he was making a fortune in truffles. Okay, that's all we can say.
Oh, you know what? If he could, he would do that because I hear truffles are like seriously expensive.
Yes,
so
they
if you have the talent to go out and root out truffles, you should go do that.
But you have to go to France to do it, right?
Well, yeah, could be. So your life sucks that you have to be in France instead of
Jeff, do you have AFib or something?
Yeah, a little bit of that too.
Yeah, that's not really what his big. Your problem was, what was your problem that gave you the heart valve? You had your valves were going, right?
Yeah, my original, what I call my mother's valve that she gave me, leaked.
Oh, okay.
We decided we had 4 valves or 5.
We have 4.
We have 4.
Okay, you
in the heart.
how many?
But the major one is called the aortic valve. But other people have problems in the mitral valve and others valves. But I've only had the problem in the aortic valve.
I have a minor aortic stenosis, but I'm told at my age that's common.
Is a stenosis is a narrowing?
No, it's a calcification actually.
Oh, so
yeah. We're gonna have the. Now I got busted by my cardiologist.
No, but I was told that it was very minor. He checks me every couple of years, and it hasn't changed. Yeah.
Oh.
So he didn't give you any drug to take it?
No. Right.
And by the way, just so that your audience knows, tomorrow will be a fill-free zone.
Tomorrow's Wednesday.
No, tomorrow's Thursday.
No, it's Thursday, I think.
Oh, good. Tonight, or as we like to think of it, word in edgewise night.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's right. It is Thursday. Okay. So
and what are you doing tomorrow
night?
Wait a minute.
So on heart stuff, I got taken off of Lipitor, and I got sent over to Crestor.
Oh,
that's what I take. Yeah. Sometimes I found I didn't tolerate Lipitor well, so they put me on Crestor. And that's been fine. I don't even know I'm taking it.
And did you see a major difference between your Lipitor numbers and your Crestor numbers, or were they about the same?
My number, I got about a year ago, all of a sudden, I think I told you, my what do you call it? My numbers just went sky high. And I was on Crestor.
You had forgotten to take the pills, right?
Well, I don't know why or why that happened, but I went back months later and had another blood test, and I was well below what I should be. You know, I mean, I was, weird. And it had taken a complete 180 around the other way. And what it was is I suddenly realized, I think one month I forgot to take the Crestor, that I put them in this little thing, and that I didn't put the Crestor in there because I found I had an extra bottle of Crestor than I usually had. So what happened is during that month I didn't take the Crestor. It went sky high, and you know. But no, now I'm below. All my numbers are below, and even my good cholesterol went up. So. You know,
excellent.
You know, I'm in good shape. There we go with medicine again.
Yeah. Thanks for the information, though. I needed it. Charlene,
shooting Santa Cecilia. It's a group, a Spanish group.
You know, they'll probably let you do the first number from backstage, and then you'll be all pissed that you wasted the night and didn't spend it with us. So there.
Alex?
Yes,
Charlene.
I have
a waiting room med question.
Oh, here we go.
I'm on a high blood pressure. God, what is it? I forget it. What name?
You guys are too sick for me to hang around. Can I say that right now?
Real.
You know, to be on this show, you got to be blind, cripple, or crazy.
Yeah.
So hang on. Let Charlene finish her question.
Yeah, I need advice. Because I wasn't taking it. Like, do you have to take the blood pressure at the same time every day to regulate? Because I was like vomiting one day, and I said maybe it's because I was off the blood pressure. I took it, you know, I forgot to take it.
I don't think that would cause vomiting.
No?
Okay.
Because I know my cholesterol medication I have to take right before I go to bed because it works better. Is that what? Do you know when your medication works best, Charlene?
Well, that's good advice to take the cholesterol at night. Blood pressure, do you think I should take it at the same time every day?
I have no idea. I take all mine at the same time. And what
that's what I do in the
morning. What used to be one pill that I would take is now 7. You know? Slowly every year the doctors have snuck in another one and another one and another one, you know. I take another pill to help the Crestor even work better.
What?
Yeah, that's why my numbers are so low.
In the first place, why were you given another medication?
No, that was when we suddenly saw it jump up like it did. And then when I took this other stuff, I went down. I really very low on everything. So, you know. Well, there we go. Another show on medicine, folks.
That's right.
This time it was Renee's fault.
What is it, Forbin? You wrote, did Phil know the serial murderer, ex-cop caught today? Yeah. Did you know him personally?
Yeah, it was a Gabnet. He's on Gabnet almost every night.
Really? And his name is Kevin. I see. Okay. Well, listen, you guys can call tomorrow night and get a word in edgewise because Phil won't be here.
That'll be new.
What?
Sorry. All right, I won't call either, and then you definitely
No. Please, Renee, please call tomorrow night.
Yeah, because Phil filibusters. Yeah.
It gives you a chance to put out your propaganda without anyone saying anything to the contrary.
Propaganda?
Well, see, if they have an intelligent comment about facts, then please say it, because I'm not always right. Matter of fact, I'm not that great at being right.
Well, I used to say on radio, which was unusual for a talk show host, as I said, you know, don't take everything I say as being the God's honest truth. I could be wrong. And no talk show host ever says that. I could be wrong. Phil never says it.
Nah, I'm never wrong.
Of course he's never wrong. Thanks, Phil.
I'm right.
Have a good time taking pictures of people doing the flamenco or whatever that thing is going to be. Tony, good talking to you. No dog tonight. What'd you do, kill him?
Shame on you.
Shame on me? Shame on you, Renee. Shame on you. Wasting another 2 hours on this program. Thank you, Renee. Hope we see you tomorrow night. I'll need people tomorrow night because Phil isn't going to be there. Same thing with you, Jeff, but I can count on you tomorrow night. Charlene, give us a call tomorrow night. Kevin, I want you here tomorrow night, okay?
Hey, thank you for playing the interview tonight. It was excellent.
Well, I'll have to determine whether I'm going to put it up or not. I don't know. I'm just a little mad at the reception of it. But
put it up.
Put it up. Put it up.
All right, they're ganging up on me. Anyway, what it would be nice if all you people did was wave goodbye to our folks out there and say goodbye. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that's our citizen panel for tonight. They let me get rid of them and let me close down Skype here. because I have to close down Skype so the next show can use it. And the next show is The Intersection with Jack and Amy, which is over most of this GabNet. Tomorrow night it's Damian Chaplin at 9:30, and then again at Connections tonight at 1 o'clock. I forgot to mention that. Then tomorrow night at 10 o'clock Eastern Time, Daylight Time, we'll be back again. Same time, same station in life. And in the meantime, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye.